Hey guys, Pepper Madness back here. A little windy out. Sorry about that. Just something I have to get. Something got to get used to. It is Alberta after all. uh, Anyhow, what I was going to talk about today was a couple different things. I was going to show you how I plant my potatoes and how I build my soil at the same time. All right, so what I've done is over the years I've expanded my garden to quite a large size. As you can see along here, way over there. I don't know if we can see the other end of it. I'm sitting down here, top of the posts, and then of course back this way. A little tractor in there. I can't see my screen very well, so I don't know how well it's focusing. I got a lot of reflection here. All right, so you can see it's fairly big. It's 160 feet by 60 feet, so it's a fair chunk of ground. Now, I'll zoom her back in here. There we go. Now, over the years, I've expanded this garden, and what I've done is typically, just for myself and my family, I used to just plant 1/3 of this each year and leave the rest in fallow. Now, what I mean by fallow is I would let weeds come. I would let the weeds come up and grass come up, but I would till it in before it went to seed. Now, after I tilled it a few times, like say twice in a week, I would come over here and I'd use aged horse manure. I'd be about 3 to 5 years old at that time, and I would spread it out on top and then till it in. Now, of course, you're going to get weeds. You're going to get weeds from the manure. That's why I don't like using chipped up straw and hay and stuff like that. There's a lot of weed in that stuff. So I just use the manure. And I seem to get a little less. Anyhow, rambling on here. So after I've tilled that in a few times, and I keep it up till fall to keep control of the weeds. It will take you a few years to get the weeds down on it, and it's a constant thing you got to be looking at. All right, so how I do my spuds. All right, everyone can see that I've dug this trench here, and I've dug it down so that so that I start getting into the sand layer or the subsoil. Right there, you can see that. At this end of the garden, it's not as old as the other end. So at the other end, I've got like 16 to 20 inches of black dirt. So what I like to do is I like to get right down to the sand, okay, so that I can rotate my subsoil up. All right, so I've dug my trench. The next thing I'm going to do is till it in the trench, so I loosen all my soil up and it makes it nice and easy for the spuds to grow. All right, I'll be back to you in just a bit. So now you see I've brought my subsoil up.
No, I won't.
Still recording.
Still recording. You can edit it.
So now you can see I've brought my subsoil up closer to the surface. The next step is next step for me right now is to put in my spuds, and I'll be right back. All right, Prepper Madness back here again, and I've got the wife cutting the spuds, the seed spuds, and putting them in. What we generally do is, this is a fairly wide trench, so we zigzag them about 4 to 6 inches out from the edge of the trench and about 16 inches apart. That way I get a little higher of a crop yield, because this ground in here can harden up pretty good, especially with me bringing the sandy clayish subsoil up. Alright, so she's just going along and she's cutting them. I'll bring it right in onto her hands here, and she's cutting them so that she's trying to get 2 eyes on each slice of potato. This package here of seed potatoes doesn't seem to have too many eyes on them, so we're throwing part of the potato just back into the ground, and it'll just rot and become part of the soil. All right, she's going to go along, and then the next step will be for us to cover it all up in a nice mound. All right, she's just moving right along here. 2 minutes later. Something I was going to add in. I don't generally plant my potatoes in the same spot in the garden year after year. I don't know if it's true or not. I was told though that this might have been a cause of the blight in Ireland back in the 1840s, the great potato famine, causing all sorts of hardship and misery. All right, now I got the wife doing some forced labor here in the garden. She's pulling all the soil that I dug out to make this trench right back in on top, and we'll mound it up nicely. It's still, although it's not early right now to get the spuds in up here, I do like to protect them from the frost, and I like also, instead of having to come in the garden every week or so and pull more dirt over the potato plants, I just like to mound it all once and it's all done with. I usually get a very, very good yield. It's 5 pounds of seed per row on this, and usually out of a row I get anywhere from 30 to 50 pounds each year, of varying sizes of potatoes. You'll also notice that I don't saturate the ground before we or as we're planting. It just seems to make the potatoes rot. Using a nice nice drainage soil works well for these. I've got plenty of a mix of sand in here, so it gets drainage and nutrients, part of the soil building. All right, guys, I'll talk to you again in just a bit here. I'll get over there and help her finish up the row.